In 1966, a play with no plot and no conventional characters was described by some scholars as the beginning of modern theater. It premiered in June at Frankfurt's Theater am Turm during Experimental Theater Week, directed by Klaus Peymann. This was not a conventional opening night. The script calls for 4 speakers, not traditional roles. They address the audience directly and keep insisting that nothing theatrical will happen. There is no story for them to represent and no character for them to become. Instead of acting out events, the speakers point to breathing, clothing, sitting, and the audience's familiar motions of going to the theater. Language itself becomes the subject. At the end, compliments turn into insults. The shift makes spectators question why words carry meaning at all rather than functioning as sound. The ending turns the room's shared vocabulary into a test for everyone. A court order let players from 2 Jewish schools enter Illinois' basketball tournament wearing kippot. Both schools were eliminated in the first round. The Illinois High School Association barred headgear on court, citing safety concerns. The schools said their students' religious obligations required the coverings, so removing them meant not playing. Before the lawsuit, the schools had played 1,300 basketball games with kippot. A district court injunction allowed them to compete while the case continued. That long record became part of the dispute over whether the safety risk was demonstrated. The Seventh Circuit rejected that approach, using the false conflict doctrine. It said safety and religious practice could coexist if the head covering used a more secure fastening method. In June 1983, the settlement allowed kippot secured with contour clips. The case ended with a workable accommodation. Religious head coverings stayed on while the league's safety concern was addressed. A schoolteacher read Estonia's epic Kalevapoeg and predicted that Uru's hill concealed an ancient hillfort. Uru rises on a steep bend of the Pirita River within modern Tallinn. Its steep slopes and surrounding river made it a strong defensive position. The hill stands inside a U-shaped bend, about 8.5 kilometers from Tallinn's old town. Artur Sprekelsen, a Baltic German teacher, connected the poem's Uru story with this hill. He publicized the proposal through a 1922 newspaper article and lecture. The idea entered public discussion before anyone had excavated the hill. Archaeologists began excavating in 1936. Major campaigns followed from 1952 to 1958, exposing evidence from a site first established in the Bronze Age. The work followed the clue across 2 decades. Uru later flourished during the Viking Age and is often called a predecessor of Tallinn. Its exact function remains debated: settlement, marketplace, or guarded site. Nevada City burned 5 times in 10 years before residents built its first firehouse, completed in January 1861. Nevada City was a major California gold rush mining town. Its buildings faced repeated urban fire risk. The first Great Fire leveled the city in 1851, 4 more followed by 1859. By March 1850, it was California's 3rd largest city. On December 26, 1859, local women raised $923.50 at a ball for construction. A theatrical show brought $149 a week later. Public funds added another $1,000. Together, those contributions financed a 2-story brick-and-wood firehouse for Eureka Hose Company. Its cornerstone was laid in October 1860 and the building was completed on January 14, 1861. Its cupola held a bell. The building measured 16 by 30 feet. Equipment moved in that day. By 2002, it had become a museum displaying the original Pennsylvania Engine Company No. 12 engine. A fundraising response to repeated fires remains visible in one compact building. In July 1990, North Korean midfielder Tak Yongbin scored a last-minute penalty for a 2-1 victory, the last South Korea match played in the North for 29 years. The match was a North-South unification game played to promote Korean reunification. It drew a crowd of 150,000. This was a friendly, not a qualifying match built around reunification. South Korea scored first through Kim Joo-sung. North Korea equalized at the start of the second half. With the score level, a South Korean player tripped a North Korean player in the final minute. The North Korean referee awarded a penalty for the foul and Tak Yongbin converted it. That successful kick made the final score 2-1. That single conversion became a documented landmark because the teams did not play another match in North Korea until 2019, leaving the national teams a 29-year gap before their next match there. A New Zealand-born former actress became the German governor's wife in East Africa, then was interned as a female enemy alien. Born to British parents in New Zealand, Ada later acted in Sydney. She married German official Heinrich Schnee in New York in 1901. He became governor of German East Africa in 1912. When war began in 1914, Britain and Germany fought across the colony. Ada kept pride in her British background yet supported her German husband and his side. While Heinrich moved with German troops, Ada led German civilians. After Allied forces captured Tabora in 1916, about 140 German women and children were interned. They eventually traveled through the Belgian Congo and France, reaching Germany in September 1917. In 1918, Ada published a memoir recording civilian hardship, colonial administration, and her wartime position. It remains a first-hand account shaped by her colonial perspective. After Jerusalem fell, Tyre became the coronation center. Archbishop Bonacursus de Gloria likely fled with a service book recording how Jerusalem's rulers were crowned. The rite had moved from Bethlehem to Jerusalem in 1131. After Jerusalem was lost in 1187, 13th-century ceremonies moved again to Tyre. The rite belonged to Jerusalem's Latin patriarch unless the office was vacant or unavailable. The Pontifical of Tyre preserves the service order, consecration and anointing, then crowning, with royal officers carrying the insignia and leading the procession. Anointing and consecration mattered constitutionally more than the crown itself. The treasury held crowns, an orb, and a scepter. At least 2 keys were required to open its vault, held by the Templars and Hospitallers. That makes the manuscript crucial. The kingdom's ceremonies and territories survive unevenly elsewhere. Without it, the 13th-century order of service and officers' duties would be much harder to reconstruct. Eric Bigos left Poland in 1989 to escape communism, then became the Toronto Argonauts' leading scorer in Canadian football. Born in Rumia in 1973, he played soccer in Poland, including semi-professionally. His family moved from Gdansk to Mississauga, Ontario in 1989, and he later played football at Waterloo. At Waterloo from 1993 to 1997, Bigos finished as the team's all-time leading scorer. In 1997, he led the CIAU, a university league, in field goals. His place-kicking opened a Toronto opportunity. He joined the Argonauts' practice roster in 1998. After 2 weeks, Toronto promoted him. He debuted against Montreal, making both attempts in a 24-20 Toronto win. Across 12 games, he converted 23 of 36 field goals and all 32 extra points, leading the Argonauts with 111 points. He re-signed in January 1999. After knee ligament damage during a workout, the Argonauts released him that May.